Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Museum of Farming Life. I understand it's your first visit here, so I'd like to give you some background information about the museum and then explain a little about what you can see during your visit. So, where we're standing at the moment is the entrance to a large building that was constructed in 1880 as the home of a local businessman, Alfred Palmer, of the Palmer Biscuit Factory. It was later sold and became a hall of residence for students in 1911 and a museum in 1951. In 2005, a modern extension was built to accommodate the museum's collections. The museum's owned by the university, and apart from 2 rooms that are our offices, the university uses the main part of the building. You may see students going into the building for lessons, but it's not open to museum visitors, I'm afraid. It's a shame because the interior architectural features are outstanding, especially the room that used to be the library. Luckily, we've managed to keep entry to the museum free. This includes access to all the galleries, outdoor areas, and the rooms for special exhibitions. We run activities for children and students, such as the Museum Club, for which there's no charge. We do have a donation box just over there, so feel free to give whatever amount you consider appropriate. We do have a cloakroom if you'd like to leave your coats and bags somewhere. Unlike other museums, photography is allowed here, so you might like to keep your cameras with you. You might be more comfortable not carrying around heavy rucksacks, though keep your coats and jackets on as it's quite cold in the museum garden today. I'd like to tell you about the different areas of the museum. Just inside and outside the main gallery, we have an area called 4 Seasons. Here, you can watch a 4-minute animation of a woodland scene. It was designed especially for the museum by a group of young people on a film studies course, and it's beautiful. Children absolutely love it, but then so do adults. The main gallery is called Town and Country. It includes a photographic collection of prize-winning sheep and shepherds. Leaving Town and Country, you enter Farmhouse Kitchen, which is, well, self-explanatory. Here, we have the oldest collection of equipment for making butter and cheese in the country. And this morning, a specialist cheesemaker will be giving demonstrations of how it's produced. You may even get to try some. After that, you can go in 2 directions. To the right is a staircase that takes you up to a landing from where you can look down on the galleries. To the left is a room called A Year on the Farm. There is lots of seating here, as sometimes we use the room for school visits, so it's a good place to stop for a rest. If you're feeling competitive, you can take our memory test, in which you answer questions about things you've seen in the museum. The next area is called Wagon Walk. This contains farm carts from nearly every part of the country. It's surprising how much regional variation there was. Beside the carts are display boards with information about each one. The carts are old and fragile, so we ask you to keep your children close to you and ensure they don't climb on the carts. From Wagon Walk, you can either make your way back to reception or go out into the garden, or even go back to take another look in the galleries. In the far corner of the garden is Bees Are Magic, but we're redeveloping this area so you can't visit that at the moment. You can still buy our honey in the shop though. Finally, there's the pond, which contains all kinds of interesting wildlife. There are baby ducks that are only a few days old, as well as tiny frogs. The pond isn't deep, and there is a fence around it, so it's perfectly safe for children.
Yes, how can I help you?
I'd like to buy a campus parking pass for next year.
Certainly. Did you want a limited or unlimited? And just for fall quarter or for the entire school year?
I was thinking of one for the whole year, but I'm not sure. Does the year include summer quarter? 'Cause I won't be here then.
No, summer term is extra. The year includes fall, winter, and spring quarters. A yearly pass is valid only from the start of fall term to the end of spring term. This year, that's, let's see, September 22nd to June 7th.
Oh, okay. And you said there were two different kinds, limited and unlimited?
Yes, a limited pass lets you park in any campus lot only on days school is in session. During holidays and on weekends, you would have to pay the normal parking rate. With an unlimited pass, you can park in any lot on any day during the school year, including weekends and holidays. Like I said, between September 22nd and June 7th.
How much do they cost?
A limited pass is $100 and an unlimited pass is $150.
All right, I'll buy an unlimited, I guess. What do I have to do?
First, I'm going to give you a registration form. This gives us information about your car. Fill it out and bring it back to me when you're ready. You can pay by cash, check, or credit card. Then, I'll give you a sticker to put on the corner of your windshield. Make sure that sticker is in place when you park, otherwise, you will get a ticket.
No problem. So, does this pass guarantee that I'll get a parking space? I mean, are there, special places set aside in each lot for people with parking passes?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, the answer is no. Parking is on a first-come, first-served basis. If a lot is full, you'll have to park somewhere else or wait until another car leaves.
I see. How much does, regular parking cost without a pass?
It's $2 an hour or $10 a day. You're getting an excellent deal.
Thank you. Oh, just one more question. Do you need all the money up front, or can I make payments?
I'm afraid I need it all at once. Sorry. Most scholars agree that women have been shortchanged in United States history textbooks. Because a woman has never been a U.S. president or a commander, a major commander anyway, in a war, these scholars argue that historians have overlooked or ignored the contributions women have made to U.S. history. In recent years, though, a new view of women's history has emerged. It's called women-centered history, and it's forcing historians to reinterpret traditional pictures of key historical events. Now they're looking at ways women contributed to history behind the scenes, if you will. For instance, though they didn't fight in wars or occupy the political stage, women formed organizations in places such as churches and clubs where they discussed ideas and learned skills that would later lead to their emergence in the historical spotlight. Jane Addams is one good example of this. She founded houses for poor people in Chicago and was an original member of the American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU. She lobbied government for the rights of workers and women, which paid off in 1920 when women received the right to vote. In 1931, she became the first American woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Woman-centered history starts with the premise that females played an important part in shaping U.S. history, and that the gender is unworthy historical distinction. This perspective is different from past models of studying women in U.S. history. One of the first models is called the contribution approach, which concedes that men played the leading historical roles, but demonstrates that women were vital supporting actresses at every landmark historical event. While this was certainly true, the contribution approach has been criticized because it highlights only the bravest and brightest women, and it also neglects the social role of women in everyday family life. A second historical model is called the victim approach, which emphasizes how men have oppressed women throughout history. Although obviously true, it tells only part of the story. It also tends toward emotionalism, overly dramatizing the woman's plight. Critics charge that under the victim approach, the only women who stand out are the unusual ones, such as the famous Salem witches of the 17th century. The rest are weak, helpless victims of a male-dominated world. Women-centered history tends to balance the contribution and victim approaches. Instead of asking, how have women helped men, or how have men oppressed women, it asks simply, what have women done? Now, in one sense, it still gives only a partial picture, because it examines history from only one perspective. But in another sense, it gives a fairer and more complete portrait of U.S. women's past than the previous two models. One historian, named Gerda Lerner, says women-centered history tells how women have survived and contributed in a male world on their own terms. Miss Lerner claims that woman-centered history best portrays the balance of interaction between women's oppression and women's power. I'm not sure about that, but I do know one thing. It has compelled historians to see certain historical processes in a new light, such as the 8th or 19th century temperance movement and the prohibition movement of the 20th century. As feminist scholars keep studying the history of U.S. women, more new approaches are likely to develop. For example, there are still several subcategories of women's history to consider, such as labor history, social status, the history of women in minority cultures, and so on. There are also class divisions, race divisions, ethnic divisions, and religious divisions. Finally, there is the history of women's interactions with other women, not just with men.
Hello?
Oh, hello. Is that Julie Davison?
Yes.
This is Greg Preston from the employment agency. We met last week when you came in to inquire about office work.
Oh, that's right.
Now, we've just had some details come in of a job which might interest you.
Okay.
So this is a position for a receptionist. I believe you've done that sort of work before?
Yes, I have. I worked in a sports centre for a couple of years before I got married and had the children.
Right. Well, this job's in Fordham, so not too far away for you, and it's at the medical centre there.
Okay. So where exactly is that?
It's quite near the station on Chastens Road.
Sorry?
Chastens Road. That's CHASTONS.
Okay, thanks. So what would the work involve? Dealing with inquiries from patients?
Yes. And you'd also be involved in making appointments, whether face-to-face or on the phone, and rescheduling them if necessary.
Fine, that shouldn't be a problem.
And another of your duties would be keeping the centre's database up to date. Then you might have other general administrative duties as well, but those would be the main ones.
Okay.
Now, when the details came in, I immediately thought of you because one thing they do require is someone with experience. And you did mention your work at the sports centre when you came in to see us.
Yes, in fact I enjoyed that job. Is there anything else they're looking for?
Well, they say it's quite a high-pressure environment. They're always very busy, and patients are often under stress. So they want someone who can cope with that and stay calm. and at the same time be confident when interacting with the public.
Well, after dealing with 3 children all under 5, I reckon I can cope with that.
I'm sure you can. And then another thing they mention is that they're looking for someone with good IT skills.
Not a problem.
So you'd be interested in following this up?
Sure. When would it start?
Well, they're looking for someone from the beginning of next month. But I should tell you that this isn't a permanent job. It's temporary, so the contract would be just to the end of September. But they do say that there could be further opportunities after that.
OK. And what would the hours be?
Well, they want someone who can start at 7:45 in the morning. Could you manage that?
Yes, my husband would have to get the kids up and off to my mother's. She's going to be looking after them while I'm at work. What time would I finish?
1:15.
That should work out all right. I can pick the kids up on my way home, and then I'll have the afternoon with them. Oh, one thing. Is there parking available for staff at the centre?
Yes, there is. And it's also on a bus route.
Right. Well, I expect I'll have the car, but it's good to know that. OK, so where do I go from here?
Well, if you are happy for me to do so, I'll forward your CV and references, and then the best thing would probably be for you to phone them so they can arrange for an interview.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Bye.